This year is Disney World D23 convention, or whatever you want to call it, event delivered to Disney fans. We're going to discuss that and much more tonight on the WDW Fan Zone show. I am joined by Kurt, Darlene, Jess, and John, and I am Stuart. But before we get into the show, I did want to mention something just for thought at another time. I'm not going to discuss it tonight. I forgot who it was at Disney. One of the executives had discussed why attendance is down at Walt Disney World, and they mentioned people traveling to Europe. I don't know if that's so true. Is it because people are waiting for Epic Universe next year, or they're waiting for the announcements this year at Disney at D23? Or can people not afford anymore? And keep in mind, it's not Disney's fault that people can't afford it. This is a nationwide problem where everything is going up exponentially. So just keep that in mind, and we'll come back to it another time on another day. But right now, we're going to talk about the fun stuff. And that is the D23 event that happened this year, this past weekend in California, and how it pertains to Walt Disney World. And one of the announcements they made, they mentioned and we'll start with, I think, what was most excited for everybody. We were expecting some of these things that they announced. And some of these things were shock and awe announcements. And that includes the very first one that I'm going to mention, and that was the Villains Land in Magic Kingdom.
That didn't surprise me.
Really?
No, because they've been talking about that for a few years.
Yeah, but they've also been talking about doing a Coco Land in Magic Kingdom.
I think it's, it was always going to be a surprise that, they actually did it now.
This has been going on for so many years. People go like, sure. They'll never do it.
We weren't hearing that they were going to announce it this time. Yeah. Right. So exactly. So I agree with Kurt that, they've talked about it for a long time. But whenever they announced it was going to be, wow, they were actually doing it.
Yeah. I think it was one of those, finally, we're getting it, rather than not having it. But I don't think anybody expected it to be this year, but nobody expected it to be any year, because they talk about it every year, and let me rephrase that. Everybody expects it every year, but nobody gets it. So I think it got to the point where, sure, it's going to be another blue sky. But I think Josh D'Amaro came out, and the first thing he said was, these are not blue sky announcements.
Everything that is announced is in some level of development.
Yeah. So let's talk about the first announcement that I mentioned, which is the Villains Land. Now that's going to be in phase 2 of the projects going on in Magic Kingdom. Phase 1 will be something we'll mention, which was a shock and awe announcement as well, the phase 1 part. And we'll get to that in a couple of minutes, but how many possibilities with the Villains Land? Do you think the Villains Land was created to say, hey, you create an Epic Universe, Universal, look what we're going to do now. Take that. Even though it's not going to happen for quite a few years.
I see somebody's head.
Yeah.
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 I think that this was a direct,
Yep.
response to that. Because they needed that. They needed something.
Yeah. They needed to do something.
Yeah. And something else, they said some of these things were going to open or start. They were either going to start or open in 2025. Why is that? Yeah, I know why that is. Epic Universe. They had to do something to respond quickly.
Right.
Yes, not all Disney fans, actually most Disney fans are probably not Universal fans, but there were probably a lot of Universal fans that are Disney fans. And the reason I said it that way is because Universal has thrill rides that really are geared towards 18 to 35-year-olds, where Disney is all generations, all families of different types. So you have crossover of people that will go to Universal, that'll come to Disney, but you don't necessarily have Disney fans who say, I'm going to try Universal. That usually doesn't happen.
Not to the degree. Yeah.
Right, not to that degree. Yep.
Yeah.
That's why I phrased it that way. I mean, they're just, I can only imagine the technology they're going to pour into that project. If it
Right.
stays on schedule, not when I say on schedule, on target with what they plan on doing, if it doesn't change in the next few years. As we know, a new CEO will be coming in 2026. So fingers crossed that things will stay greenlit going forward.
Yeah, that's
What
going to be scary.
Well, the unknown is always scary.
I do
Until you
like what they
know.
said, like word for word. It will be a fearless new vision of what a Disney experience can be on a grand scale that only Disney can deliver. Like
Right.
Yeah.
that promises a lot.
well, it sure does. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they want, to your point about it being a response, they want it to have that impact when people hear it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Grand
And the
scale.
next thing I'm going to mention,
Well,
unless you
can
guys
we
want
back
to talk
up?
more.
Can
You
we
want to
back
talk
up?
more? Sure.
So one of the things that you talked about was when we were preparing for this was did we get what we were expecting from the announcements at the event? So we've talked last year how there didn't seem to be anything really concrete,
Mm-hmm.
It was all blue sky.
Last few years.
yeah. So
Yeah.
so now it seems like we are getting concrete.
Yeah. I'm
It's
wondering
still in the planning phase for some of it, but
if Epic Universe were not there, if it was just Universal with their couple of parks, would we have gotten these announcements? I think we would have gotten a few, but not nearly as many as we got. I think Disney's behind the eight ball and trying to catch up, and which is unusual because Disney's usually in the lead, telling Universal, "There's no way you're going to catch up." So it's
But
it's a
there was
little,
a little issue we had there with
yeah, we know.
Florida and Disney, without going into details. Let's just say they had a little squabble, but they've made up. And I think
Well,
that postponed everything by at least a year, if not two.
I don't believe that at all. I think it was the world events that occurred in 2020 that caused some delay, and I think Disney, with the transition from Iger to Chapek, kind of put them off track of where they should be going and wanted to go. And I think they're getting back on track with Iger there. And we have to hope whoever takes over for Iger will carry on and then create their own vision going forward.
Well, and again, I'm sure at some point we'll talk about that, but whoever is going forward, I think they realized it can't be someone from
Finance?
the digital world. Well, yeah. Fantasyland? Yeah. It can't be someone from, it's got to be someone that's aware of how strong this part of their
and
You know what?
company
connected
is.
to the creative
Yes.
culture of the
Yeah.
company.
You know
Because
what?
there was no creativity in the man.
I know this is asking for a lot. What they need is they need an Eisner, Iger person in one.
Yeah.
Eisner for the creative end and Iger for the business end. And
Correct.
part of the entertainment end.
What they need is a billionaire who wants to just distribute the money out to the people and lower the prices back down to $30 a day. But again, blue sky project, there's my blue sky.
Yeah.
Not going to happen, people.
Well, we don't know who it's going to be yet. It could be
No.
Josh tomorrow. We
Also
don't know.
true.
We
So-
just don't know.
So as for, I mean, the land looks huge. I'm looking at the picture of it here now. It looks like a giant village of sort. We have no idea where we have a guesstimate of where it's going to go. Looks like it's going to be going behind the Cars Land area.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like you'll enter it through Cars Land beyond Big Thunder Mountain. It's a very large space. But again, it's phase 2. We don't even know what attractions are going in there. And let's be honest, 10, 15 years ago, we were hearing rumors of a 5th gate that was going to be a villain's gate. So they have so many attractions that they've already blue skied and worked on and thought about with this area. Mm-hmm. But it's still, I mean, we're getting the land, but I think some of those attractions are still in blue sky.
I think Disney was very clever not mentioning what's coming in Villains Land because it gives them something for next D23.
Well, and they kind of got burned with that with Star Wars Land because there were things they said was going to happen, and it didn't because
That
it
happens
started
with
costing
everything.
too much.
Like,
Yeah.
do you think we're going to get 100% of what they announced this year? I don't think so. I think it'll come close. But things always change.
Well, I think one of the other things it gives them the opportunity to do is feel the pulse of the guests.
Yes.
So
Right.
they have time, for the feedback, and we all know that they watch the feedback.
Yeah.
And so when people start responding about what they are or not interested in Villains Land, and they can match that up to plans they have or plans they don't have, and shape it more.
If you heard the enthusiasm from the crowd,
Oh, yeah.
and the crowd is comprised of the uber Disney fans,
Yeah.
they're going to go to the parks and spend the money, even if they have to mortgage their home 2 and 3 times. They're still going to spend the money in the parks. That, I think, was a good indication of how the fan base feels about the announcements. I think it's overwhelmingly optimistic and enthusiastic. I think whatever they do there is going to be incredible. The second point I wanted to bring up, another announcement. A section of Frontierland will be reimagined with cars and remain part of Frontierland. The new space will have 2 attractions, one created for younger guests, and the other is an attraction that takes you on an exciting rally race through the mountains. Sounds like Cars Land. And construction is set to begin when? In 6 months, pretty much, a little more than 6 months. So sometime in 2025, they're going to break ground.
I still can't believe they're getting rid of the river.
Yeah, I know. It's on one hand, I'm sad to see the river and everything there go. On the other hand, I'm super pumped to see what's coming.
How?
I mean,
How
no
are they?
matter what gets added onto the park, that is such a large area for expansion. And so, and we've talked about this before, especially with Tom Sawyer Island, I think that, this is underutilized space. Yeah. I don't like seeing the aesthetic go away, but it was bound to happen to have expansion in Magic Kingdom.
What are 2
I'm
things?
trying to figure out. Sorry, how are they going to separate the Haunted Mansion and Liberty Square from this land?
Yep.
That's what
I was just looking at that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because that's what I'm looking at right now on Google Maps.
Who are the most creative people Disney has? The Imagineers. They'll figure it out.
Could put a couple of trees up, bushes.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. High
They've
grass.
had separation
some blue
land
paint.
forever. Yeah.
Yep. No doubt they'll figure it out.
Well, yeah, look
If
at
they
that.
haven't
The
already.
concept art is showing trees. You don't even see Haunted Mansion in this picture.
No, there's that big green building, and you don't know what that big green building is. It's in the bottom, and that's around the area where the Haunted Mansion is located. So it looks like right around. Well, I say that, but it actually looks right around. Right around Liberty Square.
Going back to John's point a moment ago, there were 2 things that can cause the crowds to get the way they are in a park. And one of them is underutilized attractions or underutilized space. And there you had 2 things. You had Tom Sawyer Island and the ferry, which are both great attractions, but both very, 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 very underutilized.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking for another word there, but
and it can hold a lot of people. It just doesn't.
Right. Exactly.
Right. But the space. So once that's opened up into space with walkways, attractions, restaurants, it's going to hold so many more people than that area does now.
Yep. It'll distribute and disperse the crowds much better.
And you'll have more opportunities to move around. So right now you have to walk around the rivers of America if you want to go from over at Big Thunder Mountain Railroad to to Liberty Square and to Haunted Mansion. Now you'll have multiple ways you can go through the new land, or you can go around.
Yeah.
Which might be what that building is. That might be like, even though it's looks like a building, it might be like the entrance that you walk into that, and it's probably new bathrooms. Sorry.
So that green.
And once you're through it, now you're in that area.
Are you
Right.
talking about the green building right at the
Yeah.
bottom in the middle?
Yeah.
That's the old riverboat entrance.
It looks like the landing.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's
Because
what it
I'm
looks
looking,
like.
there's pictures, there's like A, B, C, and D. And then so A is showing on the old one as the Liberty Square riverboat in the old picture.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm looking at
you can
Google,
see the
Google
dip,
Maps, Google Earth.
You can see the dip behind it too, which is, the way the terrain is there now with the river is it dips down.
Right.
I guess you are correct. I'm sorry. It is shaped exactly like it.
Yep.
So what
Maybe
was the
that'll be the new
response?
entrance.
What I didn't watch the response from the room to the and did they call it Cars Land, or what did they call the land?
It's called.
They
What is it called?
Did they
they
give a
didn't
name?
really say. They just said that Radiators. It was
Well,
going
it's
to be
not Radiator Springs.
no. it's
No,
gonna
they're
be-
leaving Radiator Springs and going
Yeah.
west.
Right, they're going to Frontierland. It's going to be a Frontierland Cars
Right.
attraction.
It's called the Cars Adventure, maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well,
really know.
well, in any case, I was just curious. What was? I mean, I know what my reaction is, but what was the crowd's reaction at D23 when they announced it?
That was another jaw dropper. From what I'm.
Well, yeah, I think it was a jaw dropper that it was a big surprise come out of left field. But was there applause like there was for Villains Land? I can't hear you.
Stuart's
I-
on mute.
I'm sorry. Howling applause.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. I was just curious. I didn't hear
Yeah.
what the reaction was there at the event.
Yeah. It was tremendous.
Okay.
They don't have an actual name. Sorry, I've been looking it up.
Yeah,
Something
no,
I want
they
to
don't.
mention. Something I want to mention as we go through this, and we've got to move on because we've got a lot to get to in
Mhm.
a short period of time.
Let's count it down.
They did not mention Pecos Bill, which everybody thought was going to get announced as a Tiana restaurant. Never happened.
Mm.
Mm.
I don't know if that was put on the back burner or if that's something they're going to save for another year because they've got so much going on. I just wanted to
Well,
mention it quickly.
And they might make it like, something for the new land.
I was
Well,
going to say
well,
they
the
could
Frontier
literally
Frontier
leave
Frontier
Pecos
Right.
Bill there and add another restaurant right in
Mhm.
front of Tiana.
Yeah, they could do that.
Yeah.
Um,
It looks untouched in the concept art, at least.
Now, they did mention that a new Pirates themed tavern will open in 2025.
Yeah,
We
lounge.
heard about that.
Yeah.
The lounge.
Yeah, that's an old announcement.
Yep. And there was one other announcement in Magic Kingdom that I know of. If you guys know of another one, please tell me. A new parade in the spirit of Main Street's electrical parade is
Nighttime
coming,
parade.
and that's going to be called Starlight. Now, that was something I had heard they were going to bring back the electrical parade,
But
so
it's
they're
not.
bringing it back in a new form.
I like that it's something new.
Yeah,
Yeah, me
Mhm.
too.
me
Yeah.
too. I think that was another. I wouldn't say that was shock and awe, but I think that was a very welcomed.
Well, I think they
Announcement.
got to do something with that because so many people miss the nighttime parade. You have the
Right.
3 o'clock
Mhm.
parade, and then there's nothing else for anybody unless you buy the extra ticket to go to the Halloween or the Christmas. And if you're not here at that time, then you don't get to partake in a nighttime parade. And that was always one of my favorite things to see was the nighttime parade.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think that will also help with the crowd. If you've seen the parade a couple of times, let's say, and you don't want to see the parade again, it's great because you'll have all these crowds gathering around for the parade. And then you can go on the e-ticket attractions.
Yeah.
So that's a
But
good
I
thing.
think it was smart that they went with something new, because you
Yes.
have those that wanted Spectrum Magic back. You had others that wanted the Main Street Electrical Parade, and they
Right.
always fought over it. It was constant bickering over this one's better than this one, and this one's better. Just
You mean
enjoy what you've got.
like Nemo and the Lion King and Animal Kingdom? Which one's better?
Oh,
They're
jeez.
both great.
So
I do
just
miss Spectrum
enjoy.
Magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The music was so good. So
It
this better compare.
I heard Manili Vanilli was going to be doing this music. For
Now there you go.
Only half is left.
That's true.
Yeah, I know.
So
Well,
just
they're
Millie.
speechless right now.
Well, they've always been speechless.
Oh, you're funny.
Let's move over to Epcot. Well, the reimagined test track was mentioned again, and it's going to reopen in 2025. And I think they mentioned that only because of Epic Universe. We all knew this was coming. This was previously announced, previously known.
Well, and it's in progress. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the other announcement was a new lounge in Spaceship Earth.
Yes, that was the second lounge that was announced.
Yeah.
In Spaceship Earth?
So I bet you it's going in the back in that area that as soon as you exit Spaceship Earth,
Yep.
all that land there that no one ever bothers to stop and
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the one kid who's there. You know, you
Tomorrow.
see them there at 9 o'clock in the morning. You come back at 9 o'clock in the evening, they're still there.
Yeah.
So
Was that
it's a good thing.
What was the use of the lounge?
What's it doing now?
No. What is the proposed usage of the lounge?
That I did not hear.
Okay.
Inspired by the story shapes an enduring legacy of Spaceship Earth.
I'd like to see them reimagine Spaceship Earth like they were supposed to a few years ago. Maybe that'll come.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll come in another year or two. Well, we'll see. I can't complain about what was announced and what wasn't announced because they gave us a lot.
Yep.
All right. Where are we going now?
Animal Kingdom.
Let's go to Hollywood Studios first.
Hollywood Studios.
And now this was another, I wouldn't call it a jaw drop or shock and awe announcement, but it was a very welcomed announcement. And it's going to be the first Monsters Inc. land in any Disney park coming to Hollywood Studios. And it's going to be set in Monsters Inc.'s Laugh Factory, which will be a suspended coaster. And that's the first one in any Disney park.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to be going through those like closet doors.
Yeah, people have been wanting that attraction ever since Monsters Inc. came out.
Yep.
Mhm.
23 years ago. I remember watching that as a middle schooler thinking, oh, this would be a really cool roller coaster.
I can't believe that was 23 years ago already.
I think 2001 was when it came out.
So I was really surprised that because they have the Monsters Inc. laugh floor in Magic Kingdom. And I was kind of surprised that they weren't going to try putting it somewhere in Magic Kingdom. But I don't think there was enough room for that.
Yeah.
I think it
In
fits
that
a lot
area.
better in Hollywood Studios.
Mhm.
And
I agree.
while I'm so thrilled that they're doing this in Hollywood Studios, I personally don't think it's enough for that park, but I don't know what else they can do to keep crowds there all, longer in the day.
Well, as we've said before, we kind of think that there needs to be a stepping stone. So expand the attractions before you take something under major refurbishment.
Yep, exactly. But I still think it needs more additions in that park. How they could do that and when and where they'll do that, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's big enough that they can do that. And they might have to just settle for what they can squeeze in. And, if it's a 2/3 of the day park rather than a full day park, well, then that's it. Right now, it's a half day park. And that's if you're lucky enough to be able to get on the attractions you want. Sometimes the waits might make you be there all day rather than the number of attractions. And I think what makes it difficult is because there aren't as many attractions, the lines are longer.
Right.
So it's a catch-22.
Now, I'm again looking at that map. If they'd be willing, because if they keep it over by Pixar Place, if next to where the new restaurant is, the barbecue restaurant, behind there is a parking lot and then the old animation building. That's behind Star Wars Launch Bay. There's enough room there to install it if they're willing to do that. Judging from the photo, and I hate saying this, be true. Am I still back?
Yeah, you're here.
Okay. Judging from the photo and how it's kind of written, it almost looks like it's going over by Muppet Vision. I don't want it to go there. It's kind of really out of place if it goes there.
I have a feeling it's going over there somewhere. I don't know why. I have nothing to prove it is or that it's not. I know nothing. Just it's a gut feeling.
I saw something recently, and I don't remember where I saw it or how much detail they gave, but something about how because Jim Henson's voice is in this Muppet Vision 3D, that's like the last thing he ever did. I feel like they were like gonna put it in a museum or something like that, or I can't remember exactly what I saw. Maybe I can look for it and find it, but they wanted to like keep it there or use it somewhere else. I can't remember. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
I'd love to see it stay there. I mean, when you look down at that map, I mean, there's a nice big section there, but they'd have to drop everything like they did with Star Wars Land. But does that really fit between Star Wars Land and Star Tours any better than what they've got there now? Versus they could literally put it right behind the barbecue area, a nice big plot of land there if they just drop those buildings. I know it's office buildings, but
yeah, that's for the employees there. I don't know that they're going to do that. That's where the employees enter and exit the park. Unless they move the employees to what used to be the Star Wars Resort. They could do that too.
Well, there you go. That's what it's being used for office space now, they said.
Yeah, that I'm not, I know I know they filed a permit to do something there. I don't know what it was, and if that's even the work there has begun. I don't know. Let's move on here. Where are we going? Let's go to Animal Kingdom now. Now, Animal Kingdom has a lot
I'm sorry.
going on.
There was one thing I think you missed at Hollywood Studios.
And that was?
Updating Smuggler's Run to have the Mandalorian and Grogu.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I did miss that. I didn't hear that announcement.
That's going to be corresponding with the movie that comes out in
2026. With a movie coming out, right?
Correct.
Yeah, just I want to make this very brief with the movies, and I think I've mentioned this on the show, but I'm not sure if it was when we were recording or the pre or post show. We all love Disney movies, Pixar movies, Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm tired with mostly with the Disney and Pixar movies is we're seeing sequel after sequel after sequel. They have the most creative people in the world working for Disney. Let them get creative, put the AI aside, and give us something new. I want a new story, new characters, and they should try to do that at least once every couple of years. I just wanted to get that out there. Not that there's anything wrong with the sequels, it's just we need something new.
New IP? Really?
I'm sorry. Yeah, new IP. Wouldn't that be wonderful? All right, Animal Kingdom. There's going to be a new Zootopia Better Together show coming to Discover Island in winter of 2025.
So they're gutting out It's Tough to Be a Bug, which we did go and see that. It's a little bit tired. The mouths aren't quite moving the way they used to.
Yeah, I noticed
it's tired. Too. You could tell they're not quite doing the refurbishment on it that's needed.
I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh my God, that it's a fixture there. They can't take it out." It's what does the Tree of Life have on it? Carvings of animals. I think if nothing fits better there than Zootopia, I don't know what it is.
I know, right?
I think Zootopia is going to be phenomenal in there.
Walt called it, his parks are ever changing.
Yep, absolutely.
So when people are freaking out about Tom Sawyer Island leaving, my sister loved the Rainbow Trail over at Disneyland. It was one of her favorite attractions that's gone. It's been gone for 70 years, 60 years. So, well, maybe not that long, but you know what I mean. Over 50 years, this thing's gone.
Right.
And it's changing. It has to change.
Yep. You'll always have your memories of what you've, experienced before. And it's time to create new experiences. And you know what? Disney they're going to lose business in time if the park stays stagnant. You've got to make changes to bring people back and new people in.
And everything is always on YouTube too. If you miss it so much,
Yeah.
just go on YouTube.
Yeah, but something. Somebody asked me this question today about, because I mentioned I haven't seen the new Country Bears jam, or the new version of the Country Bears, and they said, "Well, have you watched that on YouTube?" And I went, "No, I don't like to watch attractions on YouTube. I like to experience them firsthand."
Mm-hmm.
But if an attraction's gone, that's a different story.
Yes.
Like for those Horizon fans, there seem to be more Horizon fans every year. It seems to keep increasing. Why? I don't know. It's like taking on its own fandom. But if you want to see Horizon still, go onto YouTube and find an old video of it.
Find out photos.
Or
that photo right there, anyone recognize where that stage is?
Oh, is that in the land?
That's Sunny Eclipse.
Ray?
That's Cosmic Ray Starlight Cafe.
Wow.
Yes. So, and that was back in, what was this photo taken?
For those of you listening to the show, I'm sorry,
1973.
but if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the picture Kurt held up.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and speaking of the podcast and YouTube, please, whatever you're listening to us or watching us on, give us a thumbs up. It does help us get more recognized by other Disney fans who might not know about us. It's just, we'd appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, that's cute. Just us holding up Mickey Mouse on what is that? A train car.
This is from the not great movie ride, the other one. Catastrophe Canyon Studio Backlot Tour. Yeah, have one of these little guys.
That's cooler than Kurt's picture. No offense, Kurt. Your picture was cool too. All right. Let's see. Oh yeah. Now this was the big announcement that we all expected. This wasn't a shock and awe. I mean, we knew this was coming, and we kind of had a feeling it was coming this year. A Tropical America's themed land will open in 2027, replacing Dinoland USA.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dinoland USA was a nice fixture at Animal Kingdom, but I'm not sorry to see it go.
We can certainly, it could be more popular with more guests, I think, if it changes.
Oh, I think it absolutely will be.
Especially with, I think it's a good combination, Indiana Jones and Encanto.
Yeah. Now, Indiana Jones, which is going to come into where the dinosaur attraction is, they said it was not going to be the same as the other Indiana Jones. Now, here's the kicker, though. It's the same track.
Yeah. It's the exact same track.
Which tells me it's just going to be different.
Well, but you know what?
Much different story.
Tiana is a whole different story from
the same track.
Correct.
From the same, from Splash Mountain.
You want to get down to it? When you go on to the Jungle Cruise, every narrator tells a different story.
Right.
Exact same
cruise. And Dinosaur is a completely different attraction from Indiana Jones Temple of the Forbidden Eye, even though they're the same track.
It's on the same track. Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's a good thing, because that'll make you want to go to Disneyland for one version and come here to Florida for the other.
Yeah.
And I think Cars will be the same thing in Magic Kingdom. I think it'll be a similar track, if not the same, depending on the land and the square footage of it. But I think it'll be it'll be a different theming at a minimum, and it might be curves might not be the same, but we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I love Cars Land out in Disneyland in
God.
California,
Yeah, me
in
too.
California
Yeah, I think
Adventure,
everybody does.
but it's going to be great to get something different. So get some of that feel without
Yeah,
having to put the same thing in.
yeah, exactly.
The one thing I'm going to miss out of there, I love eating in the Airstream, and that's going to go away.
Mm.
The dining area is going to be completely different.
Maybe you'll get a cozy cone.
Oh yeah. Cozy cone.
No, I'm
No.
talking about over in Kanto Land.
Yeah, you're talking right. You're talking about over in Animal Kingdom, right?
Yeah, I'm talking Animal Kingdom
Oh,
now.
okay.
Sorry, I guess I jumped back over to Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
We're still right back.
And speaking of Animal Kingdom, we mentioned the Indiana Jones attraction, so we'll move on, we'll go ahead from that and it will also feature, this is the Tropical Americas themed area. It will feature the first Disney or first Encanto themed attraction, as well as a new carousel complete with Encanto characters
And animals. It appears, well, I guess it's kind of obvious. Triceratops Spin is also going away. I'm sorry, Jess. I know that's your favorite attraction.
I'm so glad that whole area is gonzo.
I liked the Boneyard was cool when you were a little kid.
Yes.
So, but they're gonna have some kind of a play area over there for it.
The Boneyard was great when you had little kids to enjoy it with, unless you were a little kid yourself and then had your parents there to enjoy it with, or other friends. But I'm glad it's gone. Now, what I'm a little curious about is how they're going to either separate or incorporate Nemo, which is right at the cusp of Dinoland.
It's in a different area though. It's completely.
That's Australia.
It's separated now, and it's completely separated by that walkway. It's hidden. Yeah. So when you're over there, you don't even realize that right behind you is.
Yeah, I agree.
The Dinoland.
It's completely like set apart.
All right.
So, and they've even got that walkway. They could literally shut, because my wife and I were talking about this. They could literally shut off the two entrances to Dinoland and put a wall up there, and you wouldn't even realize it was there. Yeah, so we'd walk in underneath the Triceratops, or what was it, a Brontosaurus?
I mean, so
underneath of there, right? And then on the other end, it's where you'd walk in. There's a path. You take a left, and you're going into Dinoland. You continue straight, and it walks right along the lake that's there.
Now, speaking of Restaurantosaurus, it's out of there, and you know what's coming into place? A Colombian flavored restaurant.
Oh my
I'm
god!
excited for that.
Can they keep the Airstream? Just keep my Airstream. They have Airstreams in Mexico.
Well, I'm looking forward to that Colombian restaurant. I don't know about
you. Are you?
Yes, very much so.
Me too.
I'll take it. Yeah.
That's all I've got in terms of the announcements. Was there anything you expected that they did announce, and anything you expected that they did not announce?
I didn't expect Cars Land at all.
Yeah, I didn't see Cars Land coming.
I didn't see that.
I didn't expect that to be. Yeah, no, I don't think anybody saw that coming. I think that was a great, well-kept secret on Disney's part. I also didn't think they were going to announce Villains Land in Magic Kingdom. I really thought it was going to be like a Coco Land or something else.
I thought it was actually going to be its own park. I didn't think it would be a land, but I'm happy with a land.
Yeah, me too. Is anybody surprised they didn't announce? Go ahead, John.
I just said Monsters Inc. came out of left field too.
Yeah.
That one surprised me.
Yep, that was another surprise.
But like Josh D'Amaro said, they're building on the movies that the future children growing up want to see. and putting these new movies into the parks, and the ones that were top billed, for them that made the money is what they're putting into the parks.
Yeah, and that goes to my point that I made before about how we
Yeah.
need new movies, new stories.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know
I love
people
the
complain.
sequels, but I
Yeah,
would
the
love something new.
sequels. Yeah, we were talking about that this weekend, and yeah, they're hoping that the sequel for Frozen and Toy Story, they're done now. And that's what the family was thinking. Even though they're all awesome, all four of them, or
Mhm.
three of them, or two of them, but they want to see something else.
There's a fifth Toy Story coming
Yeah,
out.
there is.
I know. Trust you, me.
There's going to be a Frozen 3,
Yep.
Zootopia 2. It seemed like every movie they announced had a number behind it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like, come on, give us something different. I mean, I'm thrilled they're doing. Was it Cinderella? I'm thrilled they're doing
No,
a
Snow
live action.
White.
Snow
Snow
White.
White, I'm
That
sorry,
one
Snow
has
White.
been going on for a while, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
That
thrilled that they're
sounds
doing that, but give us a new story. There's got to be somebody there who can come up with. What? If this
Something.
gave me a little bit of time, I could come up with another story for them to do.
Well, it's not another story, it's another set of characters and environment. So,
But it
so this,
starts with the story
well,
and builds on the characters.
but a new movie in an ongoing series is still a new story. It's
Okay,
it's a new story with
fair
the
enough.
same characters and some of the same environment.
Fair enough.
So you're not really building. You already know the characters and love the characters, so you're just getting another story with those same characters. Is
Yeah,
basically what
and
you're saying.
I don't
New
disagree
episode.
with you. I don't disagree with you. I think there needs to be a good balance. But you can get some brand new good stories with the same characters.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
Toy
can.
Story showed that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
I was most surprised about the parade. I
yeah.
knew there was something in the works about that, but I was very surprised that it was announced and that they have it's coming out next summer.
Mhm.
Like that
It
was
was
a big
it was quick.
Yeah.
yeah.
I had heard rumblings about
Right.
about the electrical parade, but not a new parade.
Oh.
So, and it's funny.
I'm so glad it's not the electrical parade again.
You just don't like the Baroque hoedown.
Well,
The what?
The Baroque hoedown
the
Oh,
music. Yeah.
from the Main Street Electrical Parade. A little dated. It's older than
Baroque.
you.
Oh no. I don't
Yeah, you
mind
thought
it.
it was
I
Baroque.
honestly don't mind it. I'm okay with it. It's just more it's something new.
Yep.
I like
Right.
to see something new. I
Yeah.
do miss Spectrum Magic, but I'm excited to see something new.
It's a warmer soundtrack. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure this soundtrack will be wonderful, whatever they come up with.
As long as it's not AI generated, I don't care.
You know,
Just saying.
so many people rely on AI now, and
Mhm.
I think the problem with AI is it takes an individual's creativity and puts it in a box.
It
Well,
depends on how you use it. It's a tool. So
Right.
yes, I mean, if you give everything over to AI, yeah, then yeah, that's. But if you use it for some specific smaller things that help you get to something bigger, you can use it to be creative in a good way.
but there's areas in a story where you'll look at it and we're like, how do we connect this one with this one? Oh, that's the AI generated portion of the story. Oh my
Yeah,
god,
yeah,
it just jumped the shark.
yeah. I wouldn't generate the story, but to help you to trigger some of your own ideas.
AI
But
should be there just to clean up what the thought
Right.
process has difficult cleaning up. Period.
Right.
well, yeah, we're getting into big of a discussion about humankind when we
Yeah.
talk about how things are used. So
But it's when you think about our generations, and Jess, you're in a younger generation, so your education was a little bit different than ours. I mean, with ours, it was like there were no computers. It was open up your textbook
Hmm.
and go to page whatever. We didn't have computer class. We didn't do anything like that. We relied on the thought process between the ears.
Did you have to use slide rulers?
Math,
Anything?
we couldn't even use a calculator. It was just,
Slide rulers,
figure it
right?
out. I'm sorry, the slide rule,
That's how
right?
you use your slide rulers, right?
Yeah.
Before the calculator, right?
Before
Yeah.
the calculator.
Hmm.
And I think this with the last couple of generations coming up now, I should say, they're so reliant on so many different on technology. It's the creativity isn't developed the way it used to be. And I'm not saying not everybody is going to be like that, or I'm not. Yeah, but we need some creative minds to come up with something. Not AI. Anyway, enough of that.
Yeah.
Enough of that. Was anybody surprised that they did not announce a fifth park?
No.
No.
Me either.
Wasn't enough money. It cost 16 billion just
You know
for
what?
the fifth park.
I think what they announced, and you see how much more they need to do. Like Epcot, they did hardly anything. Although Epcot's been worked on for the last few years and still has a long way to go. And that might be in the next 2 or 3 D23s. We might get more announcements for Epcot. There's so much more they can do within the 4 parks. They do not need a 5th park at this time.
No.
That doesn't mean it won't come eventually. They just don't need it right now.
No, I think they're doing some smart things, like you say, or we've discussed, about providing more capacity and more space in in their current footprint,
Yeah.
that they can get guest satisfaction for not feeling so crowded.
Yeah.
Increase the satisfaction.
More for their money.
Yeah. More for their money and not feeling like they can't get on things or they can't move.
Yeah. Yep.
Agreed.
All right. I think that is going to wrap it up for us this week. We kind of gave you guys a mouthful and then some of what's going on at Walt Disney World. So we should be back on our regular day next week, regular recording day next week. Actually, we will be.
Did anybody hear the announcement that came out today?
No, there was another announcement today.
I think Darlene heard the announcement.
What was that?
4 new ships by 2030.
Oh yeah, that came out. That was on
came
Saturday.
out Saturday night.
Yeah,
it came out Saturday. I thought it came out today. So
it's gonna be total
No,
13 ships.
Well, and then retiring too.
So the Wonder and Magic, because they did mention one of the new ones might be the Magic 2 or the Wonder 2. I forgot.
Yeah, was it 2028, 29? I forget that they would be retiring the 2 oldest classic ships.
The old 2 older ships.
This is supposed to be a new class of ships also.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's see how much these are going to be priced at per person.
Right?
They'll land them, they'll ground them over there, and they'll use them as resorts now.
Yeah. I think a couple of them are going to be headed to other parts of the world that they haven't been to.
Yeah, they're going to go to another owner. Yep.
Yeah. Jess knows that there was one in Lake Erie that they said they were going to make a resort for a long time, and they never did.
There was talk that they were going to do a DVC resort at one point in New York City, and it never happened.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of things that we could probably spend a year discussing things that never happened in Disney that they've thought about and discussed and not be anywhere near finished with it.
Mary Poppins ride.
You mean like the resort in Colorado that never happened?
Yeah.
Or Virginia?
California.
Mary Poppins ride.
All right, guys, let's get out of here. Let's let everybody get on with their week. Hope it's a wonderful one. Be safe. Be yourself. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
I'm going to
See?
use Monsters Inc. to look at these changes from two perspectives. And the first perspective is the not so positive perspective where people want things to go back the way they were. And so I'm going to say, like Mike Wazowski, put that thing back where it came from, or so help me, so help me, so help me. Or from the more positive perspective, as we hear from Sully at the end, and that is, wouldn't have anything if I didn't have, wouldn't have anything if I didn't have, wouldn't have anything if I didn't have you. And we all hope to have you again next week. Thanks for listening.
See you real soon.
Have a magical night. Stay safe. And remember to pack your sunscreen and your ponchos.